The Golden Gems Podcast? What's that? It's a podcast where you get your motivation. It's a podcast where you get consistent gems. It's a podcast where you get your inspiration and you sit back and just learn just a little bit. It's a podcast that even your mama love. It's the best podcast simply around. The Golden Gems Podcast, baby. And yes, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back. Sit back, relax, and get these gems. Hey. We live? Yes, we live. And yes, you tune back into the Golden Gems Podcast, baby. And yes, thank you for tuning in. And hey, thank you for coming back. Yes, today I got a special episode for y'all. And today is Sports Talk with Relly. Hey, you already know, man. It's been too long. It's a lot of hot topics going on out here. You know, as far as the NBA and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, them going crazy, you know, and trying to get traded. And then also you got Baker Mayfield and the Panthers and the Browns. That trade happened. And then you got a couple other things happening in the NFL as far as Rob Gronkowski, you know, retiring, man. And it's been crazy. You feel me? And it's been long overdue for your boy to, you feel me, go ahead, you know, and have another sports talk with y'all. So, hey, sports talk with Relly. Hey, without further ado, let's jump right into it, man. So the first topic that I want to hit on is, you feel me, Kevin Durant requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. I touched on Kevin Durant a little bit ago in a few videos, actually, you know, when we was talking about sports. And it's crazy to come full circle and have him, James Harden, and Kyrie to not be there anymore. Like, let's just milk on that for a little bit. It was supposed to be the greatest three scorers ever assembled on a team. They was the NBA Finals favorite a couple years ago to go to the finals, or really like a year ago to go to the finals. And now we hear where James Harden is no longer on the team. Kyrie Irving just opted back in. And after Kyrie Irving opted back into his last year of his deal, Kevin Durant signs a deal, a contract extension for 4 more years. And now this year, before the ink even dries on a contract, my man is like, hey, I'm trying to get up out of there. I don't want to play for them no more. And he requested a trade. So to hit it right on the nose, man, it's crazy to see that we had these 3 great stars, you know, great stars in the NBA. And to see them not even want to play together no more, to see James Harden mid-year last year request a trade, and he ultimately ended up going to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons and I think a draft pick or whatever. To see that happen, period, that was crazy, because it's like, bro, like, what happened? What was the catalyst, or what caused this? And I got one answer for you. What the hell has Kyrie Irving been on? Kyrie Irving, I think you caused this, brother. I ain't gonna fully blame it on you, because I feel like it's a lot of people who've had their part in the dysfunction, the dysfunction of the organization that the Brooklyn Nets have right now. Because I feel like the Brooklyn Nets, they gave, you feel me, them a little too much control. They gave Kevin Durant, Kyrie a little too much control when they first came in there, because of course they haven't had superstars like this in a minute. You feel me? Back when they was the Jersey Nets, you feel me? The Jersey Nets, excuse me. Back when they were the Jersey Nets, they ain't really have nothing like this, you feel me? And now that it's, you feel me, the whole new decade, whole new year of them. Well, I think it's been like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years. Well, nah, it's been like almost a decade. Yeah, I was right. Been like a decade since they've been the Brooklyn Nets. And I even remember, like, I got the Brooklyn Nets. That was like my favorite hat when I got the Brooklyn Nets hat. I used to wear that shit, everything. I used to wear it to all my little college parties back when I was a freshman. I remember specifically. And motherfucker was like, bro, why you rocking a Brooklyn Nets? I'm like, cuz they my favorite color. You feel me? Black and gray. And then, of course, they had a little white in there, but my favorite color is gray. And then, of course, with black in some of their uniforms, you feel me? That's a nice little touch. You feel me? And they just had, you feel me, some nice colors. And I really like their colorway, so that's why I ended up getting the hat. And I wore that damn thing until I couldn't wear it no more. It'd be like that. I was definitely a hat guy my freshman and I feel like sophomore year. And then I grew up out of it. You feel me? I didn't mind showing the fresh fade, you feel me, in the waves, So now fast forward to back to the story, man. I feel like, the Brooklyn Nets, with them getting superstars, they just gave them a little too much control. You feel me? And at the end of the day, it's kind of crazy to see that, you feel me, they backed out of something that we all thought was going to be great. They backed out of something that we thought was going to be, phenomenal with them three hooking up. And we thought it was for sure Kevin Durant going to get his third ring, Kyrie Irving going to get another ring, James Harden going to get his first ring. Everybody thought that was a shoe in. Everybody was even betting. Like I had my friends even bet me that the Nets was going to win a championship a few years ago. I'm like, man, you get up out of here. You feel me? As long as LA and a run, and as long as the Bucks still going crazy, it's not happening. So in hindsight, man, it's crazy to see that the team, a couple of years later, it hasn't even been, I think, three or 4 years to where they're dismantled now. Because Kevin Durant, when he first signed, of course, he was injured. He was coming off the Achilles injury, and now that you feel me, they're back and he's healthy. And the year after he came back, like from that Achilles injury, he was back to Kevin Durant. And then, of course, they acquired James Harden, and everybody thought the shit was going to be, butterflies and rainbows. You feel me? And it was going to go crazy. They was going to win a couple of championships. They was going to go down as one of the best trios, ever. But it ain't happened. And with Kevin Durant, fast forward now, requesting a trade, and his top two teams, he wants to go to the Suns, and he wants to go to the Heat. And with that, I mean, the Suns, they got, a boatload of weapons over there. They just re-signed DeAndre Ayton back. They also, still got Chris Paul, and they got Devin Booker. So they got a couple young guys over there, and they got a real good team. But in order to get Kevin Durant, bro, you're going to have to give up your house. You're going to have to give up a few businesses. You're going to have to give up everything. And that's what the Nets are requesting, because the crazy part is, not to, like, I want to say maybe 2 weeks or a week before Kevin Durant requested the trade, the Minnesota Timberwolves got Rudy Gobert from the Jazz. They acquired him for 4 first-round picks and like 2 players. They grabbed Patrick Beverly was in that trade, and I think somebody, Mosley or something. It was a couple of people that was in that trade, and four first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, and he's just a defensive guy. He's a defensive stopper. He's really, you feel me? He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He got a defensive player of the year. He's a great player, but for them to give up 4 first-round picks, come on now. And then now, fast forwarding to Kevin Durant requesting the trade. If he got 4 first-round picks and then also got a couple players, what do you think the Nets going to ask for Kevin Durant, one of the best players in the NBA? And Rudy Gobert, he's just, a center. He's one of the top centers, and he's just a defensive player. Kevin Durant is an offensive player, and he can play defense. He's an all-around superstar. So if you got 4 first-round picks for him, for Rudy Gobert, what you think Kevin Durant requesting? What you think the Brooklyn Nets requesting to get from Kevin Durant? So that's really the problem that's going on with this trade, though, because people see that Kevin Durant, he got 4 years left on his contract. He hasn't even started to dip into his contract, and he's requesting a trade, because obviously I think he just don't want to be with Kyrie Bull BS no more. Kyrie was the problem with all this, because he didn't want to get vaccinated. He was taking days off from work because the thing that happened at the Capitol, he took some days off from work for that. He didn't tell anybody, and I'm pretty sure he ain't tell Kevin Durant either. And then he ain't tell the team when he took another break for his mental health and things like that a little bit during the season. And then not getting vaccinated, and then Brooklyn Nets saying that we're not going to pay you to be a part-time player. And then the Brooklyn Nets, by them giving more power to the players, they said, oh, no, we want you to come back and play when we lose, and things like that. It's like, bro, y'all pulling, you feel me? You're pulling the string, and you're pulling, you feel me, more weight, and you're giving them more of the string. So say if it's a tug of war, the players are winning it. You feel me? You're giving them more and more control. And that's what's happening. And that's what ended up happening. And now they looking at like, We just got Kyrie Irving to opt back in. Okay, that's good. But now we got one of the best player on our team requesting a trade because he doesn't want to really play there and he doesn't want to be in Brooklyn anymore. And Kevin Durant, touching on his other team that he had on his list, the Miami Heat. I mean, Miami, they might be able to pull this trade off. They got Tyler Hero. They got Bam Adebayo. They got a few players that they can, trade potentially to make this happen. But at the end of the day, it's like, why are we going to give up our best young players for Kevin Durant, who probably has maybe 3 to 4 years left still in his prime. He's played, I think, almost 16 seasons. So he's getting up to himself. Or I think it's either 16 or 13 seasons. I'm pretty sure it's 16, though. Kevin Durant's kind of getting up there. He's on the back end of his prime, I feel like. But at the same time, he hasn't shown any decline. So he's still got a lot of game left. But at the same time, with Miami, I mean, if you make this move, bro, you better be a show-in for him and Jimmy and Kyle Lowry to, really put together some championship seasons for you. And I feel like that's with any team. Like, this is my example too. The Nets asked Minnesota, who just traded for Rudy Gobert, they asked for Anthony Edwards, Carl Anthony Towns, another player, and I think like 5 first-round picks. So the picks that they just got or just gave up to get Rudy Gobert. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? It's like, nah, it's not happening. They not finna give you their best player, their best 2 players, and then Kevin Durant, who we gonna go there and play with Rudy Gobert, and then nobody's really, because that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to give up half your team if you really want Kevin Durant. This is why it's coming back to what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is Kevin Durant ain't going nowhere. I feel like with Kyrie opting back in and Kevin Durant still having 4 years left on his contract, if I'm the owner, I'm like, bro, y'all ass ain't going nowhere. Sit y'all ass down, figure it out, and y'all gonna play this season. We picked up DeAndre Jordan because you wanted him. We picked up Blake Griffin. You have Austin, I was gonna say, goddamn, Steph Curry. I was gonna say Steph Curry, but you got Steph Curry. You got a couple pieces that's there for y'all to, really get things going. And you got Ben Simmons. It's like, make the shit work. You feel me? What is you requesting to trade for Kevin Durant? You feel me? Like, stop running from your problems. Face it. You wanted to be here. You wanted to follow behind Kyrie Irving. So now sit your ass down and figure it out. And that's what I would tell him. Like, ain't no requesting a trade, bro. You ain't going nowhere because we're not going to get the compensation back if we trade you. And that's just the bottom line. So, with that, I feel like, man, like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they got to figure it out. Kyrie Irving, you're not going to LA. I know you're trying to get to the Lakers because, you didn't request a trade, but Brooklyn don't want to keep on dealing with your ass. So they trying to get you up out of there. But Brooklyn is not going to take $47 million contract that Russell Westbrook got in order. They trying to, so pretty much like it was a thing going out there that they were just going to trade the player's head up. You is not going to take a $47 million contract for, I think, what Kyrie is scheduled to make like 30-some million around this year. So you're not going to pay an extra 10, 12 million, no matter how bad LA want to get rid of Russell Westbrook, because that's a whole nother situation in itself. Best believe that. We're going to get into that too. But at the same time, man, it's crazy because, ain't too much going to go down with neither one of these things. You feel me? I feel like Kevin Durant is going to end up staying there. Kyrie Irving, you're not getting traded. You're not going anywhere. And they just going to have to figure it out. That's my ultimate thing. But I feel like if he does get traded, one team that can give them everything that they're looking for is him going back to Golden State, and that's Golden State. Golden State, they got the young players. They got the picks. They got everything that Brooklyn can want, as far as getting players, as far as getting picks, and that'll satisfy, Brooklyn in the trade. But is Kevin Durant going to go back to Golden State? I don't see it happening, but Golden State probably is the one team in the NBA that has everything. They got the picks, and then they also got the players to match up, because that's what the Brooklyn Nets really want. They don't want to go through another rebuilding phase. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to really be interesting. But switching gears to my favorite, NFL team or NFL topic, or switching gears to just my favorite topic. Yeah, we can go with that. Switching gears to my favorite topic, the NFL. Hey, what I tell y'all? Well, I tell you, Baker Mayfield was going to the Panthers, man. I called it. You can go back and look at a few of my other videos. I called it. Now the Browns, they don't got a headache. Well, they still got a headache to deal with as far as, seeing if Deshaun Watson going to play or not play this year, and how many games he's going to get suspended for. And then also, of course, you're headache free as far as having Baker Mayfield on your team. The Browns sent Baker Mayfield to the Panthers for a 5th-round pick. Baker Mayfield, hey, you're getting your fresh start somewhere else. You're getting your wishes. Now let's see if you can really match up to being that number 1 overall pick when you was taken a few years ago. It's going to be real interesting. I feel like at the end of the day, with Baker Mayfield, you feel me? He has a lot to prove. Last year he had probably one of the worst seasons, of his career, obviously. And then 2, he spent the year injured. So he's recovering from an injury. I had the same injury that he actually has, and it was a torn labrum, and it was his left shoulder. And that was the same shoulder that I actually tore my labrum on too. And for a quarterback, it's kind of hard, recovering from surgery, especially with one of your shoulders, but it's good it wasn't a stone shoulder. So he's going to be under a lot of pressure. Of course, he's still rehabbing from surgery. And then, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this year, with that quarterback battle with him and Sam Darnold. Because don't forget, last year, the Jets acquired Sam Darnold and paid him like $19 million or something crazy like that a year, so that way he can be the new face of the franchise. So, I mean, with the Panthers getting Baker Mayfield, they actually saying like, we don't have that much faith in you, Sam. You feel me? But you feel me? We gonna let y'all go ahead battle it out. We gonna see if Baker, gonna prove himself again. And then 2, we gonna see if Sam Darnold gonna prove that, he's worthy of being that number 1 pick that he was a couple of years ago. Because he was taken in that same draft that had Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and hey, it's crazy, man, to see that some of these quarterbacks just don't pan out. And that's how it is, man, in the NFL and with the NFL draft. Sometimes, bro, like a lot of these draft picks, they don't pan out. A lot of times you see 4th and 5th round, 6th round picks actually, stand longer in the league because I feel like they got a lot more to prove. So they're working a lot harder than guys who was taken in the 1st and 2nd and 3rd round. But at the same time, not saying that, the guys that's taken in the 1st and 2nd and 3rd rounds, they ain't working their ass off too. But you feel me, with that comfort level of saying, hey, I was a high draft pick, I'm not going nowhere, you still got to play, you still got to battle. That's why you see a lot of, like, for instance, Shannon Sharp, he's a guy that I always listen to, and he's a tight end that I'm going to touch on dang near here soon. Shannon Sharp is a 6th round pick, I'm pretty sure, and he ended up, playing like 13 seasons and ended up having a Hall of Fame career and won 3 Super Bowl rings and actually contributed in all those rings. So Shannon Sharp, is one of those examples of a late round draft pick who stuck it out and actually made some of himself. And then, of course, you have undrafted free agents who's done the same thing, like Antonio Brown. He was a late round draft pick, and look at what career that he had before all the crazy shit started happening around him. So, I mean, you got to battle in the NFL, and I feel like the late round draft picks, sometimes, you feel me, they got a lot more to prove. And, with both these top draft picks, going back to the Panthers topic, like both these 1st round draft picks, hey, it's a battle. Like, which one of y'all gonna really prove that y'all worthy of staying in this league and being a starter in this league? And that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's gonna be interesting. I still feel like Sam Darnold will probably gonna start the first few games because he's familiar with the system. I still feel like Baker Mayfield, having me recovering from that injury, you still have it's a process, especially being a quarterback. You still have to rehab. You still have to really, get your feet under you and get back to really working out. I don't know how long he is in the process because he played a whole season and then he had surgery after the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what Baker Mayfield comes with this upcoming season. But I'm definitely keeping my eyes on that QB battle, though, most definitely. So we're going to see Baker Mayfield. Is he going to start later on in the year? Is he going to win it out and start at the beginning of the year? And game 1, he's versus the Browns, the Panthers versus the Browns. So let's see if he's going to be starting, because that'll be a hell of a game to watch. But, switching gears to a topic that I've been really wanting to touch on, I actually was just going to make a whole episode based on my guy, Rob Gronkowski, one of Tom Brady's, you feel me, big ass weapons. I feel like not the biggest weapon of his career, but damn near the biggest weapon of his career. Rob Gronkowski, he just announced his retirement. I mean, hey, Rob, hey, you had a hell of a career, 4 Super Bowl rings, almost 8,000 yards receiving, over 1,000 receptions in your career. You had dang near almost, I think, almost 15 playoff touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving in the playoffs. He played only 11 seasons, and honestly, like, you damn near are the GOAT tight end right now. Of course, you got Travis Kelce, you got George Kittle, you got some of these other guys coming up, and they look pretty good, have promising careers. But Rob Gronkowski, you are at the top. You feel me? And even Shannon Sharp, he gave him the kudos and said that he's the GOAT tight end, says that he's the greatest tight end, even though Shannon Sharp was a badass tight end in himself. So I feel like Rob Gronkowski, with him retiring, I mean, there goes one of Brady's weapons. Not to say he still doesn't have weapons in Tampa. He still has Mike Godwin. He still has Godwin. He still has Mike Evans. He also has Fournette. He still got weapons out there. You feel me? And he still has Scotty Miller. Like, Brady gonna be cool this year at the end of the day. So, I got Tampa. Hey, if you haven't heard it, I got Tampa winning the Super Bowl this year. We going for 8 rings, man. Hey, man, come on. Yeah, that's 8. We go up for 8 rings. I feel like Brady gonna go ahead and get it, man. I feel like Brady gonna really cap it off this year. And with him losing, Rob Gronkowski hanging it up. I mean, Rob Gronkowski, he only played 11 seasons, but I feel like he missed like maybe 50 some games due to injuries. So imagine if he didn't have those injuries. He already has a Hall of Fame career. Imagine the peak that he'll be at and the numbers that he'll have if he didn't miss like 50 plus games. And if he didn't have all the injuries that he's had. Rob Gronkowski, he was everything that you wanted. He was a hell of a blocker. He was a hell of a receiving tight end, and he knew to find the spots, and he was Brady's go-to. And Brady was the only quarterback, he had throughout his career. So, I mean, that's a great thing to have a GOAT quarterback going to one of the GOAT's tight ends. That's just a match made in heaven, So at the end of the day, Rob Gronkowski, man, it's a privilege that he's considered the GOAT tight end. And then also, too, it's been a lot of great tight ends in the league, going back to Ozzie Newsome, going to Tony Gonzalez, Mike Ditka, Greg Olsen. You had Antonio Gates. You got, of course, Shannon Sharp. You got Vernon Davis. Man, you got some names, man. You really got some guys who's played the tight end position. And to have Rob Gronkowski sit at the top, I mean, it's only right. You feel me? He has 4 Super Bowl rings. I already named some of his stats. Of course, guys might have a little bit better stats, with better than him. Because I mean, Tony Gonzalez probably got like 10,000 yards receiving, something crazy like that. And then he holds a touchdown record too for tight ends. But of course, he played. I give him the longevity award because he did play longer than play like 15 seasons. So I mean, I give him the longevity award, even though he still was a great tight end. Like Jason Witten was a great tight end for the Cowboys. Shannon Sharp, when he played for the Broncos, played for the Ravens. It's a great class of tight ends, and for Rob Gronkowski to sit at the top of that, I think that's kudos to him. You feel me? And of course, he's a Patriot product. That's up to my Patriots, man. Hey, we gonna be on it. We gonna be playoff contention this year. I'm calling it. I don't know how far we gonna go, but Mac Jones, Billy Belichick, hey, we gonna do some damage this year. So, stay tuned for the Patriots. Stay tuned for my Chicago Bears too. Don't come in. I still love my Bears. All right. But real talk though, man, it's gonna be real interesting to see, how the NFL goes this year, because I feel like it's a lot of competition in every single division. I'm gonna actually touch on each division and go with my picks and give y'all my picks to win each division. And that'll probably be the next episode. And then also too, I'm gonna probably bring up the power rankings again for that segment. And then also too, we're going to touch on baseball too, because there's been some crazy ass baseball things going on. And of course, the All-Star game for the MLB just happened yesterday. It just finished. We had the home run derby, and then you had the All-Star game. And that was a show in itself. I enjoyed watching that. And hey, we just going to continue to bring sports talk with Relly, to you. I thank y'all for tuning in, man. This has been another great episode. I thank y'all for always listening to me. I'm going to get a co-host on here to talk sports talk with me too eventually. Y'all just stay tuned for that. But thank you for tuning in to the Golden Gems podcast, baby. Thank you for tuning into the Golden Gems podcast. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, man. Show some love. Make sure you send this to your family. Tell people to subscribe. And hey, come back for more. And guess what? We are out. Yes. Golden Gems podcast. Oh, it came back. The Go to Gyms podcast.